Never cooperated with any biographer, ever. And Jack rarely gives out interviews unless it's to promote his latest motion picture. He just isn't have to. He understands the media. He's never done a television interview, at least not in this country. He doesn't do radio. He doesn't do anything that he can't control. And my book, by definition, is going to be, or was going to be, a portrayal of him that he could not control. So naturally, he's not going to cooperate with it. And once it does make its appearance, he's going to do whatever he can to limit its impact. And I think that, although I have no hard proof of it, I think that's precisely what he did. Throughout the spate of interviews that he did to promote the bucket list, not once did he mention 5 executives. There were several magazine pieces that were scheduled to appear. Men's Journal was going to do a cover piece that was based in part on my book. The New York Times had scheduled a Sunday piece on the book. Entertainment Weekly was supposed to have done something about it. And at one point, Good Morning America and the Today Show both expressed interest in promoting the book, doing an interview with me prior to its publication. But all of those things disappeared. Nicholson, for the last 10 years or so, since Paul Wasserman was indicted and sent to jail. That was his longtime publicist, Paul Wasserman. Nicholson has used 2 or 3 of the better-known publicists in and around Hollywood. He had Pat Kingsley for a while, and more recently, the Dark Group, which was started by Pat's former partner. And Kingsley is well known, has been profiled on several occasions. She is one of the original silent killers. Publicity, as most people in the business know, consists as much of keeping a client's name out of the public presence as it does keeping their names in front of the public. And Kingsley is notorious for this. She has managed to spin stories about her clients for years, and Dart has done the same thing. And that's what they have done, for Nicholson. I mean, Jack has been able to do it well for himself. He's very good about manipulating the press and using his own charisma to continuously promote the naughty Jack persona without stressing to much the genuinely negative and thoughtless and mean-spirited Jack Nicholson. You seldom get to see that Jack because he doesn't want people to see that, and they don't. And his publicists see to that. I know the dark group was handling his publicity a year ago when The Departed was being promoted. I couldn't get to him, and even in my role as a New York Times reporter, they simply would not let me talk to Jack Nicholson. So, I think that when the book did come out, and he knew full well that it was on its way, that he did his level best to call in whatever chips he had to see to it that no one would know that it was coming out. And I think that to a large degree he succeeded. Although I must say, I heard from my publisher last week, and apparently the book is doing pretty well, in spite of all of Jack's efforts, which pleases me no end.
I noticed, when did it come out?
In October.
Okay. I noticed the LA Times reviewed it positively, correct?
Yes, and I got a great review in the New York Times, and Publishers Weekly gave it a star and said it was, the definitive Nicholson biography, as did the Library Journal. But, all of that is for naught if you can't get Barnes & Noble or Borders to stock it, and you can't get enough buzz going among the mainstream media. So that was a problem, but as I say, all things considered, I think it's done pretty well, and I think that it will be a perennial.
Have there been any news articles about the book?
Any news articles?
Yeah, I know it's gotten book reviews, but what about news articles? I can't find any.
Oh, I see. Well, there were some advance pieces, I think, that were done. TMZ had a flurry of stuff last summer, and the New York Post did a blurb on his illegitimate children. But yeah, I think you're probably right for the most part.
Yeah, it's not covered as news.
After the publication, I don't think that anybody really did anything.
Yeah, I mean, the LA Times, the New York Times, et cetera, no one read a news article about the book and what it means and where it breaks ground and how, Nicholson and his people have reacted. And yeah, this is like a great story, crying out to be told.
Well, and you're telling it.
Yes.
My God. I mean, in fact, I was just talking with a friend of mine the other day, and he's like, an old-time publicist pal of mine, and who works out in the Valley. And he said, I don't understand why the Jewish press hasn't jumped in on this. He said, the forward or the Jewish Journal here in town, he says, it doesn't